welcome.
We know that you're going to enjoy today's video. We have a special treat, but before we get into it, we have our inspirational saying. The one that we have this time today is from a book called Seize the Day, and this was a little book that I picked up at Dollar Tree, and it's full of cute little inspirational sayings.
Yes, yay! Thrifting, always thrifting.
Always thrifting. Today's saying is a quote from Jamie Paulaniti, I think.
Could be.
Anyhow, the quote is, limitations live only in our minds, but if we use our imaginations, our possibilities become limitless. There's a reason why I chose that particular one.
There is?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Because I think today we're going to see how our imagination can create something sustainable,
yes.
with little waste.
Very useful too.
Yeah,
right. I think.
So, you want to tell them what we're going to do?
Well,
what you're going to do.
We are going to have a tutorial. And what I did, this is larger than what I originally used, but I plan on making a tote bag I did make a tote bag out of a smaller seed bag, bird seed bag. Now, this would normally end up in the garbage and refuse, but I ended up making a tote bag. A really cute, useful, purposeful
and thank
tote
you,
bag.
Rita, for giving us the inspiration to do that.
Yes, that's right. Thank you, Rita, for that inspiration. And so we're going to have a tutorial to do that, showing you how I managed to make it. And I do want to say, though, before we get into the tutorial or we discuss anything else, the plastic on this, I'm going to bring a very close up. You can hear it's really crinkly. See the texture in that? See the weave? There is no stretch in this at all. And it's not the plastic like a garbage bag plastic where it stretches. So it's very sturdy and it's very structured, and that's important for the purpose that I use to make the tote bag today. So, all
right.
Yes.
So we'll be watching that tutorial.
Yes. Plus, it's cute. I think it's really cute with the birds on there.
Yeah. I want to give a little kudos to Sam's Club. Because I have been looking.
We are not sponsored by Sam's Club.
No, we're not. We're not, but I just think it's kind of cool. I have been looking all summer long for a tumbler that doesn't sweat.
Yeah.
And Sam's Club had these on clearance, and they're so pretty, and it doesn't sweat at all. And I can have it all day long. I have ice in it and stuff, and it doesn't sweat at all. Anyway, that's my way.
Now, relating that to sewing is you need to have your refreshments as you sew, so you can keep your energy up.
Right, and you don't want it sweating all over your fabric
or your pattern.
Table or your pattern and get it wet.
That's right.
I knew we could tie it somehow.
There we go.
All right, let's enjoy the tutorial.
All right. Okay, so my particular seed bag was stitched closed on the bottom, and I did not want that seam on the outside, so I am going to be taking that stitching out.
Oh, I wondered why you took that stitching out and didn't want to use it, because it would have shown up on the
outside of the bag, yes, okay. And I wanted it smooth on the outside of the bag. And
yeah, there you could see it was a 40-pound bag, seed bag.
Yes, it was a 40, that size, that particular size. And you could use any size that you wanted to. You could adapt this process to any size bag to make your tote bag.
So there you're cutting off all the threads and stuff.
Yeah, it took me a minute to figure out how to get the string so I could just pull it.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so now I need to turn it inside out.
So
the right sides are together, so I can sew the bottom up so the seam would be on the inside of the tote.
That makes sense. You don't want those seams on the outside.
No. Okay, so here I am with a regular foot on my heavy duty Denim. I used a very sharp needle. A denim needle is what I used.
Oh, okay.
That's what I used for it. And it sewed up pretty good, did pretty good. But I didn't want to have all of those little holes you see there where the string was, so I sewed just above that, and as you will see, I will clip that off.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so what am I doing there?
I think it's the side seams.
No, the side seams because I never cut the sides.
Oh, so you didn't have to do a side seam.
I didn't have to do the side seams. I just used the bag intact. Oh, I'm trying to figure out
the handles.
Yeah, how long I want the handles. I wanted to try and capture the wild bird food as part of the decor of the bag. So I decided where I wanted to turn my seam down. You can see that I leave about a ½ inch above the wild bird seed. And then I just divided into what was left remaining to make my handles.
Yeah, and I think they ended up being about 4 inches each.
They did, yes, they were 4 inches each. And so then that made it so that by the time I was done sewing them, the straps, the handles were 2 inches. Now I need to make my base or my bottom. And I always use the method where you use the triangle. You make the triangle at the point. And it's important to take the side seam to match the center of the bottom seam so you can have that balance, so you don't have a crooked
Oh, okay.
end.
Yeah.
And there I'm trying to measure, and that really makes it easy when you use, what's that measure called? The quilting measure, I guess, because I did 3 inches on both sides, and then the point goes right where the 3 inches is, the point goes at 3 inches. I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah, it did.
Okay, and so then you make sure you have it even. Of course, I couldn't use pins,
No.
so I used clips.
Yeah, clips are good for this, for sure.
And I think at first I was trying to do 8 inches, but it didn't work. And I think we got rid of that. It didn't work. So I went to the 6 inches for the base. So that's why there's so many marks on there. Trial and error. Okay.
Hi.
Oh, and what I decided to do was I was going to do a lot of sewing at once. So I cut my straps or my handles. So you see me folding it. I did it this way. The sides are folded in one inch on each side. So now I have everything clipped and ready to sew. And that's what I'm doing, getting things prepared. And I'm turning under the top edge. It was real quick there, and I sewed that under about a ½ inch. Right there, you can see me sewing it on the sewing machine, the top edge. There was no need to fold it under twice. This is not fraying. There was no purpose in doing that. It would just add bulk. Yeah. To it, right. And that was not needed.
And I thought it was clever that you just waited and got everything prepared, so you're doing all your sewing at one time here.
Yeah, trying to consolidate, learning that eventually. So,
and let her rip.
Yep. So if you notice here, I changed to the walking foot. I was having some difficulty with the stitches not being even, and the walking foot was much, much better. It worked beautifully. I think if you had a roller foot, that would work too, from what I've read. I do not have a roller foot, so I used my walking foot.
Yeah, it looks like it's going much smoother.
It did, yeah. It went much smoother.
Hi.
Nope, Nathan's saying hi to everybody. Checking out my stitching.
If you could see Nate right now, he's waving to y'all.
Okay, so now I have my triangles, and some people leave them on and tack them to the bottom of the bag. I do not do that. I just cut them off. And now it's time to turn that bag right side out. See what I have.
I noticed that you did check to make sure that the seams were lined up.
Yes, yeah.
You're very detailed.
And the points, it was not difficult to get the points out. I thought it would be challenging, you know, at the corners. They just...
And you did it with your hands. You didn't even have to use any kind of instrument or...
Yeah, I was going to get my chopsticks out, but hey, it worked.
Yeah, I saw a lady the other day turn something with a straw. She used a drinking straw to turn something.
Oh, you mean like a metal one or a hard plastic one?
A hard plastic one, yeah.
Okay, so now I'm figuring out, I always turn under my edges of my straps to put it on and to put them on the bag. So I'm trying to figure out my placements, where I want my straps to be. And in a little bit you will see, once I figure out about where I want them to be equal on both sides from the center of the side seam. So I will be getting out the ruler for that. But now I'm just trying to think the process through and how do I want this. And there's a couple of ways you can put the straps on. I'm putting them on one way here. And I think at the end I decided I didn't like them the way I put them on and how I remedied that without tearing it all apart. Okay, so now I'm trying to clip these in place, trying to figure out
how to hold them there so that when you sew them, they don't go away.
Yeah.
So then you get out our trusty little...
Well, I'm getting the measurements exact here, away from the side seam.
There.
Ah, there we go. The little tape to help hold it in place. That worked out the best. I have to let my sister, give her the kudos for that. She's the one that introduced me to that tape, and I use it for all kinds of stuff now.
I love that tape.
It's now an important part of my sewing.
And we just happen to have a great discount warehouse where we can get it for 50 cents a roll.
Yeah. Always thrifting. I really do love this bag, how it turned out. I am going to be making these as one of my hubby's hobbies is feeding birds. So
you get the bags.
I have the bags.
So yeah, if you don't do it yourself, you could put, you know, like in the Facebook Marketplace or something. Instead of throwing out your feed bags, your bird feed bags, you know, let me have them if you don't feed birds yourself.
Yeah, or you know, other animal feed bags. I don't know what they're made out of. You know, you can kind of check them out from other people to see if they're the type of material.
I have seen that people have made little zip bags out of candy bags. Like, you know, the bulk candy bag, like an M&M bulk candy bag.
Oh, okay.
And they put a zipper in it and make a little bag out. It's cute.
Okay. So then it's important there. I was measuring to make sure that the straps were on at the same length. You know, that one wasn't an inch longer than the other one. I drive my sister a little crazy with all my little details, but hey, we all have our strengths and our weaknesses. She also got me those little clips. So, hey, those clips have been good. At first, I didn't want them. Well, I did, but I was like, oh, but I use those more than my pins now. Making sure everything's in place evenly.
On both sides.
Yes, both sides. And I wanted to make sure that the raw edges were turned under evenly.
I saw that.
And it says Enchanted Garden right on the strap there.
That's cute.
It is. Thank you.
Hi, Joe. Yours.
Yep, there's Nathan. Hi, Dee and Doris.
Wow.
Back to the machine, sewing that down.
Yes.
And she did, of course, this on all 4 of them, but there's no need to show all 4 of them.
And when I get to the top, I double stitched the top twice. I went back and forth on it to give it some extra stitching there to make it sturdier so it wouldn't come apart easily. So now I need to pull off the tape, which is just needs to be done. It's just fussy work. Need to get it off the bag to make the bag look nice.
Yeah.
And there's the finished bag. I'll be showing you the sides of it and the bottom here in a second. There's the sides. Like I said earlier, you don't need to put in side seams because it's circular. So it works out great. Bottom turned out great. I was very happy with it. Finished product. Yay!
But you make a decision about the handles.
Yes, I was not happy with the way I put the handles on. I thought, they're not as functional as I want them to be. So here you'll see I had already cut the handles in half. I just made sure I had the center point. I was making a decision earlier about how I was going to do that. There's several ways that I could have made the handles go on differently, so I'm just showing you that I made them equal and cut them in half on the top. So I took the handles on the same side of the bag, put them together, and I'm going to stitch down the center of each of those. And I didn't want it to be very bulky, and I'll speak about that here in a second. You had to make sure they weren't twisted.
Right.
So that they would lay correctly.
Because then it'd be a twisted sister.
Yeah, okay.
Or something like that.
Something like that.
Hi, geese.
So you're making sure that they're not twisted and that they're
Yes.
the right way.
Yes. And that they're clipped. And that I'm going to sew them together. Okay, so now I have sewn them together, and I clipped off the seam, and I made it very narrow. I have less than 1/8 of an inch left there of the seam, and what I did was sewed like a stitch in the ditch. I top stitched it again on there so they would be not very thick, and I guess I didn't get the picture correct, but there we go. That's a better picture of how the handles went on. So it makes it so the handles can go down on the sides of the bag and you have access to the opening. Whereas the other way, they went over the opening of the bag and there was no way really so you could easily access. And that's all that was left out of that entire project. That was the only waste.
Well, that was a really cool idea and a cool way to make that. I like that you didn't use a pattern.
Oh, yeah, well, the purpose was trying to use up as much of the seed bag as possible with as little waste.
Yeah.
And so the measurements kind of went with the bag itself.
Yeah.
The larger bag, it's going to be interesting to see how that one works out because I'm sure it'll be deeper. But you know what? I can use it as a tote out in the yard, do yard work, fill it up with leaves or fill it up with whatever. Sticks even, because it's
I think
durable.
you could take it to the fabric store and fill it with fabric.
There you go.
That's my kind of
there you
tote
go.
that I need. So don't forget, limitations live only in our minds. Yes. But if we use our imaginations, our possibilities become limitless. So we hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, don't forget to hit like and subscribe.
It's true. That's important.
You need to hit like and subscribe. That's very important.
And
So
leave us a
thank you.
comment. Tell us how you like the tutorial.
Yes, and hopefully you'll have zero waste projects.
Yeah.
Well, close as you can get.
So bye again. Bye.